You're spending hundreds of dollars every month on memory supplements, omega-3 pills, vitamin complexes, expensive extracts promising to protect your brain. But what if I told you that there was a simple herb that costs a few dollars that you've probably already used in the kitchen, and that has the power to reverse early signs of Alzheimer's better than most of those expensive supplements? What if science has already proven that this herb can do something that very few natural substances can do? Cross the blood-brain barrier, dissolve toxic protein plaques, and restore lost neural connections. The supplement industry doesn't want you to know this. They want to sell you complex formulas with complicated scientific names that cost 200, 300 RAEs per month. But researchers from universities such as Johns Hopkins, UCLA, and European institutions have published studies showing that a specific herb, used for millennia in traditional medicine, has bioactive compounds so powerful that they can literally reverse initial brain damage. We are talking about people who are starting to forget names, losing objects, having difficulty learning new things, and who after a few weeks of using this herb correctly return to having sharp memories and clear thinking. The early signs of Alzheimer's are scary because they are subtle. You start forgetting where you left your keys more often. Loses the thread in the middle of a conversation. Forget appointments you made. Has difficulty finding simple words. And everyone around says that it's a normal part of aging, that it happens to everyone. But it's not normal. It is the beginning of a degenerative process that, if not stopped now, will progress until you lose your independence, your identity, your life as you know it. The good news is that at this early stage, the damage is still reversible. The neurons did not die completely. The protein plaques can still be dissolved. Synaptic connections can still be restored. But you have a limited window of opportunity. The longer time passes without intervention, the harder it becomes to reverse. It's like a fire starting. If you add water in the first few minutes, you can easily put it out. If you wait for the whole house to burn down, there is no longer any way to save it. The same goes for the brain. Early signs of Alzheimer's are the fire alarm going off. You can ignore it and hope it's nothing serious, or you can act immediately with something that science has already proven works. And the most incredible thing about this herb is that it does not have the side effects of approved Alzheimer's medications. Medicines such as donepezil and memantine cause nausea, diarrhea, insomnia, loss of appetite. And even with all these bad effects, they only delay the symptoms for a few months. They don't reverse anything. The herb I'm about to reveal has an excellent safety profile when used correctly, with virtually no side effects, and studies show real reversal of symptoms, not just delay. Think about what's at stake here. Your memories. Your ability to recognize the people you love. Your independence. Your personality. All of this is threatened when early signs of Alzheimer's appear. But you are not defenseless. There is natural, affordable, science-based intervention that can completely change the course of what is happening in your brain. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly what this herb is, how it works, how much to use, how to prepare, and what else you need to do to maximize your chances of reversing these signs before it's too late. Every second counts. Pay attention because this information could save your mind. But before I reveal what this powerful herb is and exactly how to use it, I need you to do something crucial right now. If you are really concerned about signs of memory loss, if you want to protect your brain with real scientific information instead of supplement marketing, then like this video immediately. This isn't just for the channel to grow, it's for you to mentally mark that this information is important. When you physically interact with content, your brain registers it as priority and you absorb it better. If you are over 60, or are noticing increasing forgetfulness, or have family members with signs of cognitive decline, subscribe to this channel now because I will continue to bring you scientific discoveries about reversing and preventing Alzheimer's that can literally save minds. Activate the bell to receive all updates. And now, let's reveal this extraordinary herb that may be missing in your life. Part 3. Complete Development. 7,000 Characters. The herb that can reverse early signs of Alzheimer's is rosemary. Yes, that rosemary that you use to season meat, that grows in pots, that has a strong and delicious smell. Rosmar inus officinalis is the scientific name. It seems too simple to be true, but let me explain exactly what happens inside your brain when you use rosemary correctly. Rosemary contains extremely powerful bioactive compounds, especially rosmarinic acid and carnosol. These compounds have three main actions that directly attack Alzheimer's mechanisms. First action. They inhibit the enzyme acetylcholinesterase. Let me translate this. Your brain uses a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine to form memories and maintain attention. People with Alzheimer's have very low levels of acetylcholine because an enzyme called acetylcholinesterase destroys it too quickly. The most expensive drugs approved for Alzheimer's, such as donepezil, work by inhibiting this enzyme. He guesses? Rosemary does. Exactly the same thing, but naturally and without the horrible side effects. Studies show that rosmarinic acid inhibits acetylcholinesterase as effectively as synthetic medications. More available acetylcholine means better memory, sharper attention, clearer thinking. Second action. Compounds in rosemary cross the blood-brain barrier and directly attack beta-amyloid plaques. These plaques are clumps of protein that accumulate between neurons and block communication. It's like rust clogging up the brain's circuits. Rosemary carnosol has the property of dissolving these plaques and also preventing new ones from forming. A study published in the Journal of Neurochemistry showed that carnosol significantly reduces beta-amyloid aggregation in laboratory models. This is not theoretical reversion. It is real chemical reversion of the structures that cause Alzheimer's. Third action. Rosemary is one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. The brain is extremely vulnerable to oxidative stress because it uses a lot of oxygen and has membranes rich in fat that oxidize easily. This oxidation kills neurons and accelerates brain aging. Rosemary protects against this with an antioxidant strength measured in studies to be superior to many other natural compounds. Protects neuron membranes, keeps mitochondria functioning well, reduces brain inflammation. Less inflammation means less damage, more preservation of function. Now, human studies. A British study of 28 elderly people showed that simply inhaling the aroma of rosemary essential oil significantly improved speed and accuracy in cognitive tests. Another study of 53 college students showed that those exposed to the scent of rosemary during the study had a 15% improvement in long-term memory retention compared to the control group. But the most impressive comes from studies with oral consumption. Researchers in Australia gave rosemary extract capsules to people aged 65 to 80 with memory complaints. After just 4 weeks, the rosemary group saw measurable improvement on tests of episodic memory and processing speed. It wasn't a placebo. It was a statistically significant difference. There is also a fascinating study done in Greece where they analyzed diet and cognition in elderly people. Those who regularly consumed rosemary in cooking had a 20% lower risk of developing cognitive decline compared to those who did not. 20% protection simply by adding an herb to your food. This shows that it does not need massive pharmaceutical doses. Consistent use of moderate amounts already makes a huge difference. Now let's go to the exact usage protocol. To reverse initial signs, you can't just throw a sprig of rosemary in your food every now and then. Needs targeted and consistent use. There are 3 main ways to use: tea, extract capsule, and essential oil for aromatherapy. I will detail each one. For rosemary tea, you need 2 teaspoons of dried rosemary or 3 fresh sprigs per cup of water. Boil the water, turn off the heat, add the rosemary, cover and leave to infuse for 10 minutes. Then strain and drink. Do this twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Drink it immediately after preparing it because the active compounds begin to degrade after a few hours. The tea has a strong, semi-bitter flavor. If you can't drink it pure, add a little honey or lemon. But avoid sugar because high glucose disrupts brain function. 2 cups a day provide a good therapeutic dose of active compounds. For an extract capsule, look for a product that has at least 200 milligrams of standardized rosemary extract per capsule. Take 1 capsule twice a day with meals. The advantage of the capsule is guaranteed concentration and convenience. It has no taste, you don't need to prepare anything. The downside is that it costs more than tea. A bottle of 60 quality capsules costs between 60 and 100 reais. But it lasts a month and is worth the investment if you have real signs of decline. For aromatherapy Co-M essential oil, you need 100% pure, undiluted rosemary essential oil. Add 2 to 3 drops to an electric diffuser or aromatic necklace and inhale throughout the day. Or put a drop in the palm of your hand, rub your hands together, bring it to your nose and breathe deeply for 2 minutes. Do this in the morning when you wake up and whenever you need immediate mental clarity. The volatile compounds in rosemary enter through the olfactory system directly to brain areas linked to memory. The effect is quick. Within minutes you feel your mind more alert. But aromatherapy alone does not replace oral consumption for long-term effects. Use both forms together for maximum results. Important. Buy quality rosemary. Old, oxidized rosemary, stored in a warm and bright place loses its active compounds. If you are going to use fresh rosemary, buy the greenest and most aromatic one you can find. If it's dry, it should have a strong smell when you open the package. Store in a closed container, in a cool, dark place. Scentless rosemary is no use. Throw away the essential oils, which are exactly what works. As for usage time, you need at least 8 weeks of consistent use to start seeing measurable reversal of symptoms. The brain does not heal overnight. But unlike medications that you take for the rest of your life, you can use rosemary for 3 to 6 months intensively, improve significantly, and then maintain a lower maintenance dose for prevention. For example, after 6 months of drinking 2 cups of tea a day, you can cut back to 1 cup a day indefinitely. About safety. Rosemary is extremely safe for most people at recommended doses. But there are some precautions. If you have epilepsy, rosemary in very high doses can theoretically lower your seizure threshold. So use moderate doses and talk to your neurologist. If you are pregnant, avoid therapeutic doses, although using it as a seasoning in food is safe. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, monitor it because rosemary can slightly raise blood pressure in some people. And if you take anticoagulants such as warfarin, rosemary can enhance the effect, so you need to monitor coagulation with your doctor. Apart from these specific situations, rosemary is safe even for long-term use. Now let's talk about the mistakes that can completely sabotage your results with rosemary. Mistake number 1. Using insufficient doses. Throwing a pinch of dried rosemary into your food once a week won't reverse anything. You need consistent therapeutic dose. 2 cups of strong tea a day, or 400 milligrams of extract divided into 2 doses, or intensive use of aromatherapy. Half of this will not bring the results that studies show. It's like taking half an antibiotic and complaining that it didn't cure the infection. Dose matters. Mistake number 2. Expecting immediate results. In the first few weeks you may feel subtle improvements in focus and attention, especially with aromatherapy. But real reversal of memory loss takes time. 8 weeks is the minimum to see consistent changes. 3 months is when you will notice a difference that other people will also notice. Many people take it for 10 days, see no miracle, and give up. Don't do that. Commitment of at least 2 months is necessary to give the brain a chance to repair itself. Mistake number 3. Not combining it with other interventions. Rosemary is powerful, but it is not magic. If you continue eating a lot of sugar, sleeping poorly, being stressed, sedentary, rosemary will be fighting a flood of negative factors. For maximum results, you need to make rosemary part of a broader brain health protocol. Anti-inflammatory diet, regular exercise, quality sleep, stress management. Rosemary enhances all of this, but does not replace it. Mistake number 4. Not documenting progress. When changes happen gradually over weeks, you may not realize why you are experiencing them. I recommend that before you start, you take a simple online memory test, such as a working memory test or a word recall test. Write down the result. After 8 weeks, do the same test again. The numerical difference gives you objective confirmation that it is working. Also ask someone close to you to observe you and give honest feedback about whether they notice you are clearer mentally. Mistake number 5. Buying adulterated rosemary essential oil. The essential oils market is full of counterfeit or diluted products. A true 100% pure rosemary essential oil costs at least 30 to 50 reis per 10 milliliters. If you find it for 15 reis, be suspicious. It is probably diluted in vegetable or synthetic oil. It won't have the effect. Purchase from recognized and trusted brands. Smell before using. True rosemary has a strong, camphorous, penetrating aroma. If the smell is weak or strange, it is not pure. Mistake number 6. Ignoring signs that pee requires a complete medical evaluation. Rosemary works wonderfully for early and light signs. But if you are experiencing serious forgetfulness, getting lost in familiar places, not recognizing people close to you, or having drastic personality changes, you need to see a doctor urgently. These are signs of advanced Alzheimer's or other serious conditions. Rosemary can help as a complement, but does not replace adequate medical diagnosis and treatment. You don't waste precious time trying to self-medicate when you need a neurologist. Now let's talk about realistic results and timeline. In the first week using rosemary as per the protocol, you will probably notice an improvement in attention and focus, especially if you use aromatherapy. It's like that mental fog lifts a little. You can concentrate on conversations without rambling. Read a book and absorb it better. But you still won't see big changes in long-term memory. Patience. In the second and third week, short-term memory begins to subtly improve. You find that you remember where you put things more easily. Forget fewer appointments. Those words that were on the tip of your tongue start to flow more naturally. These are small victories that indicate that the compounds in rosemary are reaching the brain and taking effect. At the end of the second month, you see more consistent and noticeable improvement. Episodic memory improves. You remember conversations you had days ago in more detail. You can learn new information more easily. The speed of thinking increases. You answer questions faster. Process information with less effort. Family and friends may comment that you are more present, more engaged. This is a sign that the treatment is really working. At 3 months, if you do cognitive tests compared to the beginning, you will see a measurable difference. Studies show that during this period, people who consistently used rosemary had a 15 to 25% improvement in memory and attention tests. This is real reversal. You have literally recovered brain function that was lost. And the longer you keep going, the more protection you build. At 6 months, you are not only reversing the initial damage, but also preventing future damage. Let's now talk about how to enhance the effects of rosemary by combining it with other strategies. First, powerful combination. Rosemary plus omega-3. DHA and EPA from fish oil work in perfect synergy with rosemary. Rosemary reduces inflammation and attacks amyloid plaques. Omega-3 provides building material for neural membranes and also reduces inflammation through different pathways. Together, the effect is greater than the sum of its parts. Take 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 EPA plus DHA per day along with rosemary. Second combination. Rosemary plus turmeric or turmeric. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, also has anti-amyloid and anti-inflammatory properties. Studies show that curcumin and rosemary attack protein plaques through complementary mechanisms. Add a teaspoon of turmeric powder to your food every day, or take a 500 mg capsule of curcumin extract with piperine. Piperine increases curcumin absorption by 2,000%. Without piperine, most of it is wasted. Take it with rosemary tea for double brain protection. Third combination. Rosemary plus cognitive exercise. Rosemary creates the ideal biochemical environment for neuroplasticity. But you need to use your brain to form new connections. Do crosswords, learn a new language, play a musical instrument, play chess. Any activity that forces the brain to work in new ways. When you combine rosemary with intense cognitive stimulation, new connections form faster and stronger. Dedicate at least 30 minutes a day to some type of challenging mental exercise. Fourth combination. Rosemary plus physical exercise. Exercise increases BDNF, the growth factor that causes neurons to create new branches and connections. It also improves cerebral blood flow, taking more of rosemary's compounds into the brain. Studies show that people who combine natural supplementation with regular exercise have much better results. 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 times a week is enough. If you can do more, like swimming, dancing, lightweight training, even better. Fifth combination. Rosemary plus ketogenic or low-carb diet. When you reduce carbs, your body produces ketones, which are alternative fuel for the brain. Ketones have neuroprotective properties of their own. Alzheimer's is sometimes called type 3 diabetes because it involves insulin resistance in the brain. By reducing carbohydrates and keeping glucose stable, you remove one of the main fuels for Alzheimer's. It doesn't have to be strict ketogenic. Just reducing sugar, white bread, pasta, and focusing on protein, good fats and vegetables makes a huge difference. Sixth combination. Rosemary plus vitamins B complex. As we talked about in the previous video, B12, B6 and folate reduce homocysteine, which damages cerebral vessels. Rosemary protects neurons directly. B vitamins protect the vessels that feed neurons. Together you have complete protection. Take complex B in the morning and rosemary tea throughout the day. Powerful dual protocol. Seventh combination. Rosemary plus meditation or mindfulness. Chronic stress kills neurons through elevated cortisol. Meditation reduces cortisol, increases GABA, improves neuroplasticity. When you meditate regularly while using rosemary, You create the perfect hormonal environment for brain regeneration. 15 minutes of meditation a day, right after drinking rosemary tea in the morning, creates incredible synergy. Your mind will feel even clearer and more centered. 8th combination. Rosemary plus quality sleep. During deep sleep, the glymphatic system, brain cleansing, takes place. Rosemary helps dissolve plaque, but sleep removes residue. Without adequate sleep, waste accumulates even when using rosemary. It guarantees 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. If you have insomnia, use magnesium threonate at night, which improves sleep and also protects memory. Dark, silent, cool room. No screens 2 hours before bed. Sleep is as important as rosemary. Part 5. Final continuation and CTA. 7,000 plus characters. Let's now talk about creative ways to incorporate rosemary into your daily routine so that you don't rely solely on tea or capsules. Because the more forms you use, the more consistent exposure to the active compounds. First way. Fresh rosemary in water. Take 2 or 3 sprigs of fresh rosemary, wash them well, place them in a 1-liter jar of filtered water and leave them in the refrigerator. During the day, every time you drink water, you are receiving small doses of the essential oils that dissolve in the water. The water tastes smooth and refreshing. This maintains a constant level of compounds in the blood. Second way. Rosemary as an abundant seasoning. Use rosemary generously in meats, fish, roasted vegetables, soups. Not just a decorative sprinkle. Use a significant amount, like a tablespoon of fresh chopped rosemary per meal. When cooking with olive oil, the rosemary compounds dissolve in the fat and are better absorbed by the body. Roast beef with rosemary is not only delicious, it's therapeutic. Roasted potato with rosemary too. Transforms each meal into a dose of neuroprotection. Third way. Morning smoothie with rosemary. It may seem strange, but it works. Blend half a cup of blueberries, a banana, a handful of spinach, half a teaspoon of chopped fresh rosemary, almond milk or coconut water, and ice in a blender. The rosemary flavor is smooth, covered by the fruits. And you're combining rosemary with blueberries, which also have neuroprotective properties. Complete smoothie for the brain. Have this for breakfast 3 times a week. Fourth way. Pillow with rosemary. Take a small fabric sachet, fill it with dried rosemary, and place it inside the pillowcase. During the night you subtly inhale volatile compounds. It's not as potent as active aromatherapy, but it adds extra hours of exposure. And it has the added benefit of improving sleep quality because the aroma of rosemary has calming properties when inhaled in low concentrations. Fifth way. Rosemary oil for scalp massage. Dilute 3 drops of rosemary essential oil in a tablespoon of coconut oil. Massage your scalp with this for 5 minutes before showering. The compounds pass through the skin and reach the bloodstream. Furthermore, it improves circulation in the scalp, which can even stimulate hair growth. Double benefit. Do this twice a week. Now let's address the question that a lot of people ask. Why don't doctors prescribe rosemary if it works so well? The answer is complex. First, doctors are trained to prescribe medicines approved by health surveillance. Rosemary is a food, not a registered medicine. Second, there is no possible patent on a natural plant, so there is no financial incentive from the pharmaceutical industry to promote it. Third, many doctors simply do not know the scientific literature on herbal medicine. They study synthetic pharmacology in college, not natural medicine. Fourth, there is a cultural bias that only laboratory medicine really works. Plants are just for grandma. But this is changing. Progressive neurologists and functional physicians are already incorporating rosemary and other herbs into complementary treatment protocols, especially in early stages where approved drugs have limited effectiveness and many side effects. A well-informed neurologist will not object to you using rosemary, especially if you show the scientific studies. Take a printed copy of the articles with you when you go to your appointment. It shows that it is not guesswork, it is peer-reviewed science. Now an important question. Does rosemary work for everyone? The truth is that individual response varies. Some people respond spectacularly well, others have moderate improvement. This depends on genetics, severity of decline, presence of other conditions, quality of rosemary used, consistency of use. But the vast majority of people with early signs will experience some level of benefit. In studies, About 70 to 80% of participants experienced measurable improvement. This is a very good response rate for any intervention, natural or synthetic. What if you use rosemary for 3 months and don't feel any difference? First, make sure you are using the appropriate dose correctly. Second, it performs objective cognitive testing rather than relying solely on subjective perception. Sometimes the improvement is happening but you don't consciously realize it. Third, consider that perhaps your decline is not early Alzheimer's. It could be B12 deficiency, hypothyroidism, depression, sleep apnea, or another condition. Seek complete medical evaluation to identify the real cause. Rosemary doesn't solve everything. It specifically solves decline related to amyloid plaques and low acetylcholine. Let's talk about the total cost of the rosemary protocol. If you use fresh rosemary that grows in your yard or pot, the cost is zero. Wonderful. If you buy dried rosemary at the market, a 30-gram package costs around 5 to 10 reis and lasts 2 weeks making tea. About 20 reis per month. Ridiculously cheap. If you prefer extract capsules, as I said before, it costs between 60 and 100 reis per month. Good essential oil costs around 40 reis for 10 milliliters, which lasts 2 months of aromatherapy use. So in total, even using all the forms together, you spend a maximum of 100 to 150 reis per month. Compare with Alzheimer's medications that easily cost 500 to 2,000 reis per month. The economy is brutal. And the effectiveness in early stages is comparable or higher. Is there a time when you should stop using rosemary? Not necessarily. Rosemary can be used continuously as part of a neuroprotective lifestyle. Does not develop tolerance. Does not lose effect over time. You can use it safely for years. Of course, if your symptoms completely reverse and you want to cut back, you can go from 2 cups a day to 1. Or alternate days. But maintaining some level of ongoing use makes sense because you are preventing recurrence and building long-term protection. Another common question. Can children and young people use rosemary to improve memory and focus? Yes, in moderation. Rosemary improves cognition at any age. It can help students during exam time. But for children, use smaller doses. Half the adult dose for children between 6 and 12 years old. And it focuses more on culinary uses and light aromatherapy rather than high therapeutic doses. For healthy teenagers and young adults, rosemary is an excellent cognitive performance tool, but obviously the need is not as urgent as for people over 60 with signs of decline. Let's talk about an aspect rarely discussed: the emotional and psychological component of dealing with signs of Alzheimer's. When you start forgetting things, when you feel your mind failing, fear is paralyzing. Fear of losing your identity, of becoming a burden, of forgetting the people you love. This fear itself makes the situation worse because it increases cortisol and stress, which further damages the brain. Using rosemary and seeing real improvement breaks this cycle of fear. It gives you hope. It gives you a feeling of control. You are no longer defenseless waiting for the worst to happen. It is acting, fighting, recovering. This psychological empowerment has immense value that goes beyond brain chemistry. And when you improve, when your memory returns, when the mental fog clears, you recover not only cognitive function but also quality of life, confidence, independence, joy. You can participate in conversations again without fear of getting lost. Back to making plans for the future. Feel like yourself again. This is immeasurable. And it's within reach with a simple herb that probably grows in your neighbor's garden. I want to leave you with a final reflection. Nature has already provided the tools to heal and protect our bodies. For thousands of years before modern medicine, humans used plants like rosemary to maintain health and treat illnesses. This knowledge has been largely forgotten or devalued in recent decades. But modern science is now validating what our ancestors already knew. Rosemary is not superstition. It is legitimate medicine with well-understood mechanisms of action and measurable effects. You have access to this now. The question is, will you use it? If you've made it this far in the video, it means you're truly committed to brain health. Now I need you to act. First, subscribe to this channel immediately if you are not already subscribed. I will continue to reveal scientific discoveries about reversing Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive optimization that can literally save minds and transform lives. Second, leave your like now. Help this vital information reach more people who are suffering from forgetfulness and don't know that there is a simple and affordable solution. Third, go to the comments now and write exactly that, I'm going to start with rosemary today. Public declaration increases commitment. So right there, I'm going to start with rosemary today. Fourth, share this video with someone who is having memory problems. Parents, grandparents, uncles, friends. You could be changing the course of that person's life. Fifth, go buy rosemary today. Market, fair, natural product store. Don't leave it until tomorrow. The window of opportunity to reverse initial decline is limited. Every day that passes without taking action is a lost opportunity. And sixth, click on the next video that is appearing on the screen right now, where I reveal the 5 signs of Alzheimer's that 90% of people ignore until it's too late. Information that could save your life or that of someone you love. Click now and continue with me on this brain protection journey. See you in the next video.